Okay, so one of the biggest things that we have in drum set and one of the skills that we need the most is what we call coordination. Coordination is the ability to play things independently of the other things. If you look back to the last beats that we learned, which was the eighth note snare beats, we were playing an eighth note hi-hat, an eighth note snare, and an eighth note bass drum. What that meant is that every time I was hitting a snare drum, I was also hitting a hi-hat with it. Every time I was hitting a bass drum, I was also hitting a hi-hat with it. So for what we're considering coordination right now, those beats didn't really have any. So what we need to do is we want to start developing some coordination. We're going to start with your left hand. We're going to try to get to where your left hand can play independently of your right hand. To do that, we need to have notes that were not currently being played by the hi-hat. So if my hi-hat's sticking with those eighth notes with the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, the way that I'm going to be able to do it is by putting in those 16th notes on my snare drum with my left hand, whether it's the E or the because the E's and the they fall in between those eighth notes, in between the 1 or the and, which is the E, or the and the 2, which is the So we're going to take a very simple beat, which was beat 1 from our eighth note bass drum exercise page, and we're going to add the snare drum onto the of the 2. Notice that that snare is by itself. You do not want to play the hi-hat with it. Now that feel is going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. One more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Very important. You don't want to slow that down to the same speed as the eighth notes. It should fall in between. You can tell if you're doing it wrong if your hi-hat is not staying a steady speed. If you basically slow your hi-hat down to get that snare in there, you can see that you're not forcing that snare to be in between it. It should feel just like you're going right, left, right, which would be your and 3. So let's take a look at that. Beat number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, just like we talked about before about the strong and the weak accents, we want to make sure that everything we learn we can do with both a strong accent and a weak accent. Number 1, we did the snare drum on the of the 2, but we had the strong bass drum feel of the 3 and. Number 2, we're going to do the same thing as number 1, put the bass drum on the and of 2 though. So we'll still have that snare drum on the of 2, but now we're going to have that weak bass drum feel. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. So that covers the uhs for right now. Now let's take a look at the e's. So let's go back to our strong bass drum feel, the 3 and let's slide a snare drum on the E there in the middle. So the count of this one will be 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Now let's do the same thing for beat 4, but instead let's move our bass drum back to that weak pulse, because once again, we want to have everything strong and we want to have everything weak. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. So the first 4, we've covered the uhs with a strong accent and a weak accent, and the e's with a strong accent and a weak accent. Getting those first 4 comfortable should allow you to handle the rest of the page quite easily, because all that we're going to do is we're going to start combining it. Number 5, we're going to have the strong accent, put the snare drum on the and put the snare drum on the e. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 6, same idea, an E, but move it to a weak bass drum pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 7, let's try using both of the uhs that are available to us right now, the of the 2 and the of the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 8, let's try the E's, the E of the 1 and the E of the 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 9, we're going to take it the same way as number 7, where we have both of the uhs, the of the 2, the of the 4. Now we're going to add in that E of the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 10 is the same as 8. We've got both the E of the 1 and the E of the 3, but now we're going to add that snare drum on the of the 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's bring that all together now. So let's try putting in both of the uhs and both of the e's, which is what we have in number 11. We've got the e on the 1, the e on the 3, the on the 2, and the on the 4. So we've got them all together. 1 e and, 2 and, 3 e and, 4 and. Let's do that with a strong bass drum accent. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let's do that exact same thing, but of course, let's do it with that weak bass drum accent. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that covers the 16th note snares. What you're looking for on this page is if you're able to move your left hand independently of your right hand. You should have a good feel for both the uhs and the e's, and you should have no problem getting that note in between there. This is the first start of any of the coordinations that we're gonna do. All right, great job. Stick with us. Next, let's tackle the bass drum.